The Soviet Union's role in World War II is no secret, but it's often overshadowed by the United States. World War II is a conflict that was won by the United States. At least, that's the story we learned in school and on television. But Russia's role in World War II was necessary for the defeat of the Nazis. One has to wonder, what would the outcome of World War II have been if key events had played out differently? Today, Life's Biggest Questions asks, what if Hitler teamed up with the Soviet Union? Hello and welcome back to LBQ. I'm Charlotte Dobre. Don't forget to like and subscribe and let us know in those comments a topic you would like to see next. Everyone remembers that the Nazis and the Soviets were allies at the beginning of the war. They signed a non-aggression treaty called the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. But Hitler then decided to ignore their pact and he turned against the Soviets. But what would have happened if Hitler did not do this and the two powers stayed allies? Let's look at some stats. The Soviets were devastated by the Second World War. 26 million of them died during it. For every American soldier that died fighting the Germans, there were 80 Soviets that died. 95% of the casualties from World War II were Soviets. But on the flip side, 75% of all the Germans who died in World War II died fighting the Soviet Red Army. If the Soviets teamed up with Hitler, the outcome of World War II would have been extremely different. It is likely that our world would have ceased to exist as we know it. First of all, if the Russians sided with Germany, all of those German soldiers who died at the hands of the Russian army would not have died, which would have made it a lot more difficult to defeat them when the Americans finally got involved in the war. Germans suffered during the major battles of Stalingrad and Kursk. Those battles were so savage that they made the Western Front look like a picnic. Well, okay, maybe not a picnic. Many people died. The Western Front was also devastatingly brutal, but you get what I mean. Hitler's invasion of the Soviet Union ended up being the beginning of his downfall. But if Hitler had not invaded the Soviet Union, he may have invaded Great Britain. There was even a plan already in place for invading Great Britain. It was called Operation Sea Lion. Both Britain and America thought a Hitler invasion of Britain was on the horizon, and they believed it was only a matter of time before it happened. Perhaps in the event Britain was invaded, the British government and monarchy could have fled to Canada. Maybe Canada, Britain, and the United States would have taken time to regroup and plan for an invasion of Africa, and from there, head back into Europe to launch a counterattack. It is unclear if the Allies would have ever gained back control of Europe. It would have been a very difficult task to say the least. If the Nazis and the Soviets were allies, they would have been pretty much unstoppable. They would have easily won World War II, taken over Europe, Asia, Africa, the Middle East, and who knows where else. Hitler might have succeeded in eradicating the world from Jews, Slavs, and pretty much everyone else who wasn't Aryan. Hitler also would have followed through on Herbert Friedrich Wilhelm Bach's hunger plan, which if you didn't know was a plan to starve millions of Slavic and Jewish people to death. The German armed forces diverted Ukrainian food away from Russia. This killed millions of civilians in German-occupied territories. Would the Soviet Union and Germany have succeeded in taking over the Americas? They probably would have tried. Of course, all of this didn't happen. Hitler and Stalin didn't remain allies because, well, are you surprised? This is Hitler we're talking about. Not to mention, Hitler despised Slavs. He thought they were lesser beings and he wanted to eradicate them along with the Jews. Slavs are what the Russian population was made up of. There is no way that Hitler would have continued to be allies with a country he A. needed oil from, and B. that consisted of people he wanted to exterminate. I hate to say it, but it's a good thing that the war panned out the way it did. If it hadn't, who knows what Europe or the rest of the world would be like today. There would be a lot less Jews and Slavs, that's for sure. What do you think would happen if Hitler teamed up with the Soviet Union? Let us know in those comments below. For now, I'm Charlotte Dobre and you've been watching Life's Biggest Questions. If you enjoyed this video, you'll love our playlist, Biggest What Ifs, clickable on the screen right now. As always, make sure notifications are turned on by clicking the bell, and we'll see you in the next video.